Hi guys, and welcome back to the Yarn Junkie podcast. My name is Amber. I'm coming to you from my home in Texas where I live with my husband, our 3 daughters, and many pets. I actually have Suki here asking to get up in my chair, so we'll see if she wants. She likes to sit like right behind me though and kind of push me out of the chair. Come over here, she's so stubborn. Say hi, say hi. Oh, I'm so glad that she's so much better and back to herself. So, like I said, hi, welcome or welcome back. If this is your first time checking me out, thank you so much for taking the time to check me out. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate all of the friendships that I'm making, and when you guys leave me a comment, let me know when what you're working on or what you've been up to. It's really great to get that feedback. So thanks for joining me. We've had some really weird weather. Not weird, because it's February, right? We always get this weather in February. It froze over about 3 or 4 days ago. I guess it was a week ago now. It's Friday. This week has flown by. I've tried to sit down. I actually did sit down and record this whole thing, and I'm now having to redo it. So it's been a week. But the girls were out of school for 2 days last week, so I didn't get a chance to sit down and record. And next week, Tim and I are going out of town, so it was now or never. So I'm so glad to be sitting down with you guys finally, because I have tons to show you. And I'll just get into it. I have my show notes, so I'm going to keep those handy. But first off, I had a few knitting fails this week. So I talked to you guys last time about the Advent Cowl. It's called the Advent Cowl 2019 by Leineke Bozeman maybe? I'm probably butchering that, but Advent Cowl 2019, it should come up. So this is done with Advent minis, so you need like 24, and I only had 12. And then I was reading the pattern further once I'd already started it, of course. And I actually need like 20 gram minis, and I only have 10 gram minis. So this is, I started it and I did a provisional cast on. This is 1 mini, and I told you guys I was going to fold mohair in between to kind of stretch my yarn, but I still won't have enough yardage. So this is going to get scrapped. Goodness. Hopefully I can edit that out now that I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys can tell. The camera quality is better. Hopefully the sound's okay and it's not picking up too much of my fish tank off to the side. But yeah, hopefully I can edit and do things and take my sneeze out. If not, sorry. And if you blessed me, thank you. Yeah, so this is just a fail. I enjoyed working on the provisional cast on. That's probably only the second time I've done a provisional cast on. And I look forward to someday doing this pattern, but just probably not with this yarn that I have. Another fail that I did, I actually did print this pattern. It's the Bobble Beanie hat knitting pattern. And you guys, last week was a rough week. Look, half my pattern is chewed by a dog. This one that's behind me. I spilled something on it. It was on the kitchen counter, and there's half of it's like waterlogged. And it's just, it was a week last week. It's all crinkled. But this is the Bobble Beanie hat by Kristen Mcdonald. And I started it kind of with a bunch of gray scraps that I had, and I thought it would look really good. But I don't know, it's not enough contrast in my gradient, so I'm actually going to try to scoot up a bit so you guys can see better. I should have moved my chair up. There we go. But yeah, so I don't like my yarn choices again with this. I just don't think that's it's blending too much, and I want it to be more contrasty. So that's a fail. That's getting scrapped. Both of those are canceled. And I won't show you this one. I tried to get my mitt, at least one finished, and I made a mistake on it. On the color work chart, I kind of jumped on the end. I wasn't paying attention, and I will have to tink back probably about 3 rows to get that fixed, and that was just a bummer because I was forcing myself to work on it. And that's what I've learned actually this past, I've been trying to do really well with clearing the decks and working on a lot of whips to get everything done. I am not the best maker under that kind of pressure because I tend to make a lot more mistakes or just not get a lot of progress done. I think I've talked about this last episode, where it's like, if I cast on something new, I'm making tons of wonderful progress and I can always return to that old whip. But if I force myself to work on that whip, I usually make mistakes or get frustrated or just something happens. And I need to listen to my own advice because this week has been the same. I've been trying to really get a lot of whips done and it's just not bringing me a lot of making joy. And I'm a maker, and number one reason why I'm a maker is because of anxiety and issues with my anxiety, and it helps me, grounds me so much, and allows me just that like mental clarity to say, okay, well, if I can do this hard knitting thing, then I can do this hard life thing. It just makes it better, and I just enjoy the tactile, meditative motion of knitting like so many of you guys. So when I force myself to work on something, it's just not great. It's not very medicinal at that point. So I need to be nicer to myself and allow myself to cast on things. Which, speaking of, I made my family cake me yarn last night to get me started. Sorry, I'm just looking down at my show notes. So I have a hoe. This is a sock for Tim that I started probably a month ago or so, and I only have one sock done. This yarn is Long Dog yarn, and it's the colorway, I'm blanking. I posted it on my Instagram, and the dyer commented and told me the colorway, Brave New World, in her Outlander collection. I really love it. It's green and teal on this like beige gray, so grayish face. But I knit these on my Flexi Flips. I did cast on the second one. Y'all are gonna laugh. This is how much I have done. A little mustache of a whip. But yeah, so I did cast it on. But I knit these on my Flexi Flips, size probably 1.25. And I can't decide if I love these or not. I know when I was knitting on them at Christmas, I seemed to really enjoy them. And with this project, it's not hitting that sweet spot for me, honestly. And I have a lot of sock whips. Here's that bag. I have these socks that I probably cast on, I want to say in 2020 or maybe even 2019, and I have not gotten a lot of progress done on them. I was knitting them concurrently on not Magic Loop, 6-inch circulars. I've been just trying to find exactly what it is I like on knitting socks. And I feel like on these 6-inch circulars, I knit really loosely, and I'm not a big fan of my gauge. I just feel like my socks are a lot thinner, and it's not like, you know, that hard wearing thick sock or not thick, but dense sock that you want. So I haven't really gotten a lot of progress done on those. Just because I'm not enjoying the process, I guess. I don't like the little needles. And so I did start another sock on DPNs, and I'm going to get to that one in a minute. And I'm loving that the best. And that's how I originally began knitting socks, is DPNs. So I think I may just return to that. But so I knit these socks on those Flexi Flips, 64 stitch cast on, 2x2 rib for about 20 rows. I think I knitted about 70 rows for the leg. I did a fish slips kiss heel from memory, you guys. Like, I haven't knit a complete sock in probably over 18 months, and I did the heel from memory. That kind of blows my mind. But yeah, and it fits him great. He's already tried on this one, and this is also probably the best Kitchener I've ever done. I did have to look the Kitchener up because somehow I always forget how it starts, which is ridiculous because it's never changed. But I will put more progress in on that sock hopefully this weekend as just sort of my go project. Talking about my other sock whip on DPNs, I've actually been hand dyeing yarn this past week or two and really enjoying the process. So I want to show you some of the yarns I've dyed. I dyed this one, and I actually dyed a worsted weight skein similar to this and then tweaked it and then came out with this, and this still wasn't right. It's just too green, but I love it and wanted to cast on a pair of socks right away with it. And I'm doing I believe it's called the blueberry waffle pattern. And I think that's also a free pattern on Ravelry. But I am loving knitting these on DPNs. This was my original way of sock knitting, and I just sort of jumped on the bandwagon of the 9-inch circulars, and I've done magic loop. I really just don't enjoy magic looping socks. I don't know why. I just don't. But these DPNs have really been bringing me a lot of knitting joy. I like the movements and the sounds they make, and I'm knitting these on carbons, and they're actually a size 0 because I find when I'm knitting pattern socks with pearls, pearl details, so I think this is a free pattern. I'm not giving anything away. But so you knit for 2 rows, and then you do a knit 2, purl 2 for 2 rows. So it kind of does this little basket weave pattern-esque. But I find when I do patterns like purling on socks, my gauge is a lot looser. And so sizing down my needle was crucial on that. But that's all I have to say about that sock. The other yarn that I dyed, this one turned out exactly how I envisioned. So every single time we go to Hawaii, we always go snorkeling, and I always see a sea turtle. I've been 4 times, and it's happened to me every single time. And I love the experience. It's just so magical, and I still haven't seen an octopus, and I would really like to see an octopus. But I've seen sea turtles a lot. And they like hang out on the beach up there and stuff too. But there's something about like watching one swim through the water in the coves, and it's just nice. So I dyed this yarn in honor kind of that, or in remembrance of all of the sea turtles that I've seen. And it's going to be called Hanu, which is Hawaiian for turtle. But I just love the golds and the little shots of teal. It's kind of perfect. The last sea turtle I saw was probably the most beautiful, and his shell was just like amber, and the water and sunlight was hitting it where it just like reflected the light. And this definitely reminds me of that. So that's exciting. I have no idea what I'll make with it, but definitely something. I also dyed, this one didn't turn out exactly like I envisioned it, but I'm learning a lot, and I know what I would do differently. I do like the colors together, so that's always a plus. I just don't like how the dye broke, so. And Atrella said she really liked this one and said that it looked like love, but it also looked like vomit. And so I called it lovesick, and she was like, that's perfect, Mom. That's exactly what it is. Especially like in honor of Valentine's Day. So I think I might kick this one up and make her a pair of socks with it. But I also did a bunch of sock blanks, and I really like this one on this side right here, but the black kind of spread, and it kind of gets, talking about this sock blank and how the dye broke really heavily on this part. Lucy came over to say hi as well. But I love it overall because sock blanks kind of just have that look. And this one we called Mellow Yellow. I love like the lime green There's definitely shots of teal. That one was fun. And this one, this was probably my favorite. So I was listening to Nirvana this morning, not this morning, but the morning I dyed this yarn, and I had to try to dye like their album cover, their self-titled album cover. And if you don't know what Nirvana is, it's a grunge band from like their 90s. But yeah, so I really, really love how this one turned out. And then the last one I dyed, Tim and I watched Dexter. We went and rewatched the entire series before we started the very last season that came out. We love Dexter. Like, it's one of the best shows of all time. But I was very inspired by like Dexter's blood spatter. If you don't know or haven't watched the show, Dexter is a crime scene investigator that specializes in like blood splatter analysis. And so I just thought, how cool would that be on a sock blank? The entire time I'm watching that show, I'm like, I should dye a sock blank like Dexter. So this is my Dexter inspired colorway. And yeah, it's just very saturated in places, definitely blood red. I got the color accurate on that one. I do wish that I had some more like negative space or like white sections where it was just a fine misting. But overall, I'm super happy with it. And I wanted to share in the joy and love and actually offer a giveaway to you guys. So one of my sock blanks, your choice, I will be sending it to one of you guys. I didn't fold these up nice. It will be folded up super nice, maybe include some other little treats, and I will send you your choice. So leave me a comment down below telling me, I'm bad at prompts. Tell me what you're working on right now, what you're enjoying knitting, what's bringing you the most relaxation and peace, and tell me which color sock blank you would want to win. And I will get this shipped off, or I will do the drawing thing, announce it on the next podcast, and then get your address, all that stuff, and ship it off. So I know a lot of people have said, a lot of podcasters and different people have said things about the mail going overseas right now because of COVID. So I'm just going to limit this to the US just for now until I myself contact the post office and know what they have to say about shipping things outside the US. So unfortunately, just open to my US viewers. I hope you understand that. But yeah, I just appreciate you guys tuning into me each week that I sit down and sit here and talk to you. So give you a little treat. I do have a finished object. So I needed, just to clear the decks. All my projects are just weighing me down. Like I said, I'm kind of stressing over finishing them instead of just starting a new big project. And so I knit these tiny little mitts in hopes that it would like cure me of that cast-on-itis. I knit these using mustache yarn in her Beauty and her Beast colorway. And I didn't make them match. These are the Adorable Kids Fingerless Gloves by Lee S. Leong Designs. I hope I'm not butchering that. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. You can go to my Yarn Junkie 6 is my Ravelry name. You can go to my project page. I'll leave it in the link below. So you can find it easily. But it was such an easy, nice pattern to sit down and make. I made one in one sitting and sat down and made the other the very next day. But they have two sizes available. I think it's like size 3 and 4 and then size 5 and 6. But she does make a right and a left mitt, which I thought was cool. I didn't bother with them matching, but I did make sure to match the thumbs at least, which I love. And you can see how janky they look. Ruby has worn them a lot. This one has paint all over the edge because she finger paints in them. And yeah, they're stretched out because she wears them a lot and loves them and thinks I'm the best mom ever for knitting for her. But I got this mustache yarn at the last Fiber Fest I went to, which was in 2019. I can't believe that. But I got one of her 52 gram mill ends, and I did not expect it to be in her little signature
must match skeins. So if you've never bought a skein of yarn from Stacy of Mustache Yarn, when you get like 100-gram skein, it's broken into 2 perfectly matching sections and tied off, you know, separately. That way you can cake up your yarn and have 2 perfectly matching socks. I love that she does that. It's so amazing. I haven't seen many dyers do that, and so I didn't bother with matching. I just used all of one cake that she sent, and then I'm gonna probably use this one to make Ruby a pair of socks. But I was just really impressed that she did that with even a mill end, a 52-gram skein. Like, she still made the effort to make sure they were a little matching set. So that is I'm kind of jumping all over the place with my notes like I always do, which is crazy. That was my finished object. I also cast on this. This was over a week ago. Tim and I I had a gray sweater in my stash that I bought as a sample sale. So I didn't knit it. It was at a yarn store. They were having a sample sale. I think I probably paid $20 or $30 for this sweater, and it was a full sweater quantity of Madeline Tosh yarn. And so I'd never liked the sweater. It never fit me well. I thought personally the collar was knit sloppy. Not knocking anybody, but it just wasn't very neat. And so I frogged that entire sweater. I had Tim help me and reclaimed the yarn. I really should have washed it and, you know, hung it in the shower or something so I wasn't knitting with ramen noodle yarn. But I was in a hurry to cast this on. So I cast this sweater on and got pretty far, but then I made myself stop working on it and get back to my whips. I am almost to the sleeve separation, but this is the Sea Glass sweater by Wool & Pine Designs. I was definitely inspired by Kay of Crazy Sock Lady to get this started, and I just went through, so I have tons. I had the most green yarn in my stash, and a lot of them were just one-off skeins or little leftovers from different things that I wasn't really gonna knit with in the project by itself. And so I kind of went through and grabbed all of those and put them in this awesome bucket. This is from Hobby Lobby, I believe. But this sweater is just so enjoyable and so sweet because it's like a cozy memory sweater. Like, I remember the hat I knit with this yarn. I remember getting this yarn in Hawaii. This yarn went into my Soldanta. This one was in my Zweig. This I knit into Tima sweater. This is one of the very first nicer yarns that I ever had, and I crocheted a hat with it. This went into my Cowl that I got the yarn in Colorado. So it's just like, I could cry. It's just so many dear, sweet memories that I've had from all of these different yarns, and it's being knit into this wonderful, cozy sweater. I think everyone needs one, and I think I'm really going to love wearing it. And I think I'm going to do, Kay recommended once you get complete with the yoke, that you should go ahead and weave in all of your yoke ends, and I think I'm going to definitely do that. But I want to show you guys, because yoked, like, these ends are not scary. It's just a matter of putting on a good podcast or TV show and getting them woven in. But I even love, like, just looking at that while I'm working on it. Normally a lot of ends stress me out, but this is an end every single row, and it's not stressing me out at all. I'm like, oh wow, that's so pretty. Look at that. Look how pretty it is. I love it. And I touch it and I like straighten out the yarns, and I'm just really enjoying this project. I'm glad that I showed you guys, because I kind of have put it on the back burner, like I said, trying to get other lingering whips finished, but I need to get this back out because this is one of my favorite things that I've ever knit. So hopefully that will be a enjoyable project the entire time. Yeah, but again, that was the Sea Glass sweater by Wool & Pine. Everyone's knitting it right now, so And then, what else have I worked on? Oh, my rocket tee. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes one more time to make sure I'm hitting everything. We did a yarn room changeover. I sit in the room that I'm in right now is the dining room, and I sit in here a ton throughout the day working on my projects because I can kind of spread out on the dining room table. And all of my yarn and boxes and stuff, this little cubes, were in the guest room, which it was fine in there, but I don't hang out in the guest room. I don't sit on the bed in the guest room and knit. And it's dark in there. It has one window. Y'all have seen me podcast from there for the past couple of podcasts that I've done, and it's very dark in there. Even with lighting that I bought, it's still not very good lighting. And so he was like, why don't you just move all your yarn stuff? It's bright in here. I'm so inspired. So I've done a ton of work on my rocket tee by Tanis Fiber, and we leave for our trip next week. I don't know that I'll be done just because I'm really losing steam on this, and which is ridiculous. Like, I could have this done in 2 days, so I'm cutting off my head really bad because Sicky's taking up my entire chair. But if I just really buckle down, I could probably have this complete in 2 days. But now that I've showed you guys, I'm probably going to work on my sea glass sweater today because that's going to bring me so much joy, and I need that in my life right now. I've really enjoyed working on this. At first, the mohair was a little tricky in the mohair rows because you're just doing single mohair alternating with sock yarn. The mohair rows were really tricky at first just because it likes to stick to itself, but I've kind of come up with a system, and what I usually do is I'll take the mohair strand and tuck it or stick it to my leg almost, because it does stick. That way it's out of the way and I can get on with the fingering weight rows. But yeah, so this pattern you have a skein of mohair and a skein of sock yarn, and you alternate those two. In the pattern, she does 8 rows, I think, and I did 2 by 2. And I really like the double stripes a lot more than the chunky ones. But I'm probably 2 or 3 inches from being done with the body. Yeah. And then it's just finishing. So you finish the collar and you finish the sleeves and you're done. So maybe I'll have it done by our trip, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I loved this yarn at first, and I still do, but it's kind of wild. It's very golden, greeny. So this yarn is Long Dog yarn in the Bounce base in her colorway Gingerbread. And this yarn is Suburban Stitcher's Silky Mohair base in colorway Swamp. And so they're gorgeous together. But the more I knit on this, the more I was like, a really neutral color would be beautiful. And I was thinking dusty pink or dusty lilac. And then I remembered I actually have, let me grab it, sorry guys. So I was actually working on my Birds of a Feather shawl, and this is the exact mohair color that I was like, oh my gosh, that would be a beautiful rocket tee. And this is another Suburban Stitcher mohair. I can't remember the colorway name. I want to say Joy, but that might be wrong. And I was knitting it with Suburban Stitcher Slub yarn. And I love the look of this shawl, and I love how delicate and romantic it is, but I'm not a shawl wearer. I really don't wear shawls. I wear cowls pretty often, but shawls are just, they usually end up on the back of a chair or hanging over a window as a decoration. They don't get worn. And so I was like, do I really want to knit this beautiful yarn into this shawl that's not going to be worn? And the answer, of course, was no. And I also had this sweater that I'd never wear. I never finished it because this is the Andrea Mowry So Faded from like a million years ago. So I don't wear this because of the pulling. I never finished it because I just hated it. So the yarn, the whole point of that was the yarn at the very bottom, this one, is a Woolen Vine. Cannot remember the colorway. I do remember it was Woolen Vine, and it looks amazing with this. So this will be my next rocket tee. I'm already planning another one, and I haven't even finished the first one. I know, I'm insane. But I just think that is so dang gorgeous, and it will be very beautiful, I feel like. So I think that's all I have to show you guys. Let me take a peek at my notes one more time. Oh, I've got some acquisitions. I had some more acquisitions. I have a package is lost right now. It makes me so sad. So it was supposed to be here last week through our ice storm, and it was delayed, which is understandable, but now it's been over a week since the delay, and it hasn't moved from Dallas. I could have driven there and back like 20 times over. But that's my Knit Picks package. I'm glad this one didn't get lost. This is Woolen Vine yarn, and I ordered some of her yarn. I didn't really have a plan for these two. This is gonna go into my Bobble cardigan. Bubble cardigan? It's a bubble cardigan, I guess. I just really love that taupey kind of gray, and it's got multicolored speckles in it. This is her I Am No Bird colorway on her Nouveau base. Come on, zoom. Do the zoom. And then these two, like I said, I didn't have a plan, but as soon as I saw them together, I thought they would make a beautiful swag. And I would do the Woolen Vine number 9 is this mauve kind of purpley color, and Dirty on Purpose is this gray kind of tonal color. And I would do the Woolen Vine number 9 on the yoke section, like the lace yoke, and this would be the main body. I just think that would be beautiful. So I did order another skein of this on her last update because that's how much I would need for a swag, and that's just gonna go in the stash for a someday project. So it will probably end up changing a multitude of times. But that is all I have. Sorry for the start stops. Hopefully I can edit some of that out. Y'all cross y'all's fingers for me because learning new technology is not my strongest suit, and that's why I've just done it on my phone all this time. But hopefully this camera is better quality, it has good sound, and it's not picking up too much of the fish tank. Y'all definitely enter the giveaway. Leave me a comment down below. All of the projects I've talked about will definitely be listed down below, probably to their project pages. If you want to check out my rendition of them, just click on my little profile on Ravelry. I am Yarn Junkie 6. On Instagram, I am _ Yarn Junkie. And yeah, find me on both those places. Follow me, say hey, and I'll catch y'all next time. Thanks for stopping by and checking me out.